And for the final time in 2025, it's bittersweet because we're talking rugby league, but it's for the last time that you and I, Adam Blair, get to hang out with each other. Don't be a stranger though, mate. Just because League of Our Own is coming to an end in 2025, well, you can pick up the phone and give me a buzz, mate. You're looking resplendent in your old school Kiwis kit as well, your Pacific Championships winner you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Goran. And yeah, we're at the end. We're at the end. We still get to do this last episode, but man, what a ride it's been. Season 2 for us, and we've just thrown everything into it. The books, the kitchen sink, the dog crates,
the NutriBullet boxes, yeah.
The NutriBullet boxes. We're throwing everything at this season 2, and on the back of obviously the Pacific Champs. How good, Goran? Yeah. How good?
Oh, mate, you guys did so well. And I'll toast to your success. It's the final episode, so I've got a can of sparkling margarita, and I'm going to crack that open for us right now.
Awesome, mate.
Toast to your success in the Pacific Championships, our success as League of Our Own podcast, because we've, last year with Stuff, when we were operating as an audio-only podcast, on 2 occasions through that season, we did more than 500 listens. Now that we're a audio-visual sensation, last week we did our best ever episode and went over 8,000 views. So that's across YouTube and Spotify. So give ourselves a pat on the back and down our margarita.
No, that's awesome,
good.
Goran. For a couple of Kiwi fellas who are just preaching the game of rugby league, obviously the Warriors and New Zealand players in the game, to our setup. So what we've been able to try and do through the time differences, for you doing all the heavy lifting and me just rolling in and doing what we do. It's great to do what we do. It's a simple but effective, and I guess we can't do it without the support of our community and our fans that tune in every single week when they listen and see us visually on our YouTube channel. So, man, what a year it's been. What a year it's been of rugby league, and topped off, like I said earlier, with obviously the Pacific Champs.
Yeah, we'll talk. Actually, being a little bit late for our final episode has worked out in our favour. Yep. So it's been really good because we can talk a little bit about the All-Stars game in middle of February going to WAIKATO, and you'll be head coach, no doubt. We'll talk about that. We can talk about the Warriors NRL draw, and there's some interesting anomalies in there which I'm quite keen to discuss. But first of all, the Pacific Championships win. You're down 14-6 at halftime to Samoa, and then 30 unanswered points. You're basically farming possession in that second half. You did not give them a sniff. What on earth did you or Stacey or Fish say at halftime that inspired such an incredibly brilliant performance from the Kiwis?
Yeah, it was outstanding. Well deserved. I thought the team, the boys, the group, the staff, everyone involved in the preparation of obviously the Pacific Champs, from the get-go to the finish, and to being able to celebrate the way they did was outstanding. Again, like everyone knew, and I said it, bro, we had to start strong, and both teams come out of the blocks. Samoa obviously did their homework and really wanted to slow down the ruck, the middle of the park, get numbers into tackle, and really not allow our team to get on the front foot at any stage. Some of those players, not some of the players, all those players in that Kiwi side are elite through the middle of the park, from your front rows right to your full back end. As you would have seen that the first half, it was a battle. It was tough. It was everything you want in a test match when you play against a Pacific nation. Back and forwards, tries early for Samoa, and the crowd was going off. Man, it was loud and hectic down there, and the chants, the singing, the huckers, everything was involved. But I think that the biggest learnings from our group this year, on the back of, I guess, the biggest disappointment in 2024 is they didn't play up to their potential. When you look at some of those players, yes, they didn't have everyone available, but some of the players that they had this year were elite through the middle of the park. But again, trusting in the process, Goran, that was the biggest thing. They knew what they needed to do. Come into halftime, when you go into the dressing rooms, it's set up in units. So middle, right edge, left edge, and they go through their processes around what they're doing right, how they can get better, and what are the actions they're going to take moving forward into the second half. And as you would have seen, from the get-go, they come out of the blocks. Bit of a position swing, like you said, farming the position, farming the field territory, and going after the Samoan team was allowed, I guess, the likes of, Xavier Willison, Aaron Clark, Nafahu White coming on the back of, Fisher Harris, Tapane, and Moses Leota, and then opening up the space for someone like Dylan Brown, Isaiah Papali'i, those guys, Casey McLean, Keanu Kinney. I thought he was outstanding in his 2 games. The way he gets around the field, tenacious, someone that's brave in everything that he does. On the back of his operation around his neck, to only being able to play 6 games this year, playing off the back of that forward pack, both him, obviously, and Dylan Brown, and having the mastermind of it all, Kieran Foran, who just led them around the field, got them into the right field position, and went after them defensively. That's all it was, Goran. It was more so around understanding the process, what that looked like, and then going out there and actioning it and putting it into play, and that's what the boys did. Proud as of every single person involved in that Pacific Champs, because, man, it's the best time of the year for Kiwis. You don't get to play much football together during the year, so this time of the year when you're playing in that international space, blessed as, a staff member, as one of the coaches, to be able to be in and around that space, to be able to work with the elites, and being able to be a part of something special, because there's a strong group there that are a successful group that are really looking forward to what's next for them.
And what is next? It's a Rugby League World Cup at the end of 2026. And when I take into account what has just happened in the Pacific Championships, it's hard not to get excited about what your Kiwis might achieve. And when you look across the board at how well served we are in different positions, I mean, let's break it down here, Blairy. In the forward pack, I don't think there are any issues at all. If you guys are injury-free, and you've also got guys knocking on the door like Big Nasty, wherever he winds up, hopefully he stays in Rugby League. Nelson Asofa Solomona, we're obviously talking about there. Jordan Ricky, who is a championship winner, a premiership winner with the Broncos. He will be somewhere in the mix as well. Griffin Neem from the Cowboys. Am I leaving anybody out in terms of the forwards?
Leo Thompson.
Yep, Leo Thompson.
The Bulldogs.
So the forward pack is looking strong. You look at the outside backs. Keanu Kinney on the... Man, you tend to forget that this guy is so young. And not only young in terms of years, age, but in terms of NRL experience as well. Am I correct in saying I think he's only played like 28 first grade games? He looks like Reece Walsh. On the wings, Will Warbrick is probably backing up Jermaine Asako and Ronaldo Mulatalo when he recovers from his ACL. Centres are pretty good, and when you can slot Chance in the mix as well. I reckon your main issues are going to be the depth when it comes to halves and even the dummy half. Because now with Kieran Foran's retirement, you're pretty much relying on Jahrome Hughes and Dylan Brown. And outside of that, who is there? Tamaire Martin, you're asking him to do a job, and maybe he's not playing in the halves regularly for the Warriors next year. And I'm quite interested in your thoughts on Kodi Nikorima as well, because he's formed a really brilliant partnership with Isaiah Katoa at the Dolphins. But is he in or out of New Zealand representation? Where does he want to? Does he want to continue? Is he an option for a World Cup year, Kodi Nikorima?
I think in the grand scheme of things, he would be an option. I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't the coach, Goran, so I'm guessing, Stacey would have had that conversation with Kodi if he was going to be available, made himself available for the Pacific Champs. This is me assuming, so don't take my word, everyone, that he didn't make himself available for the Pacific Champs. Come World Cup year, things can change pretty quickly, can't they? And I've called for SOSs before in the Māoris.
And have they been answered?
And they have been answered. My little mate, Kodi Nikorima, come on me on the 12th hour or the 11th hour, whatever you say there, and he flew down the day of. So, I think when it comes to World Cup year, or any time you put on the jersey, it's never say never, right? Because those things don't come around all the time, and opportunities always pop up for some people. And if your mind's set and your mind is ready to go, I think, he's obviously got to be in there in those calculations, because I think, like you said, the depth around the halves and the hooker position, alongside obviously Phoenix and JMK, Jerry Marshall King. You're thinking about obviously a Brandon Smith down the line, depending on how he goes or what happens in that space. And really scraping the barrel on who's that next young hooker coming through. Smokey, chuck it out there. World Cup year comes around. Wayde Egan. That's just the Smokey. We like chucking it out there.
Final episode.
We like chucking these things out there. And this is just me thinking bigger picture, thinking, Goran, like, we can't just have our eyes in here, tunnel vision. Because we lose two hookers. We lose 3 hookers. Wayde Egan doesn't get picked for Australia, just saying. Wayde Egan doesn't get picked for Australia. He qualifies through residency or citizenship, because I'm guessing by then he's done 5 years in New Zealand. If worse comes to worse and he's available and he wants to play for New Zealand in a World Cup year, don't put it past him.
Okay.
Don't put it past him.
Have you or Stacey been on the phone to him to just put it out there? Get him thinking about it a year out from a World Cup. Because you're right, Australia, they won't look at him. They didn't look at him for Origin this year when his form was really good, and I think warranted selection in Origin 1. And they're going down the path of Harry Grant, Reece Robson, and even Brayley from the Sharks, right?
Yep.
So it's almost like he's, at best, 4th choice for the Kangaroos. If he's been in the country long enough, and I know that there was the COVID period where the Warriors were based in Australia, and so that probably won't count. But if he does make the grade in terms of citizenship, you got to get him involved. I suppose the one benefit is that Stacey Jones, assistant coach at the Warriors, he can be barking at him all season long with the Warriors next year.
Yeah, like anything, Goran, everyone's up for opportunities, you know what I mean? And I don't think anyone's out of calculations. I think when you think about it, it's actually not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea.
It's a great idea,
If the Kiwis were to lose hookers, and there was an opportunity for Wayde Egan to be available to play for New Zealand, and he really wanted to, I don't see the harm in putting him into the squad. Imagine him playing on some front football with the elite front rowers around him. It's not a bad idea. But then again, they've still got to find some halves as well. So obviously, like you said, Chanel may not play for Samoa. I'm just putting that one out there too. I don't know. Things may change. Obviously, you got Tamari Martin. You got Kodi. If your mainstays aren't healthy at the time, they're really looking for that spine to be tightened up a little bit. And I think that's where the depth's lacking at the moment through the New Zealand Rugby League. Is a lot of our kids at home are obviously moving over to Australia to play the game of rugby league. They're creating more opportunities because there are a lot more clubs here. The Warriors can only keep so many. They're developing in the system in Australia. Kiwis or Pacifica kids. And if they're available to play for New Zealand, then we need to try and foster those kids and try and find an opportunity to give them a taste of what it is to be, a Kiwi or play in the jersey. I guess that's on all of us inside the Kiwis or New Zealand Rugby League to try and put things on in Australia where those guys feel connected to something, because all the kids most of the kids are leaving New Zealand now to take up bigger opportunities in Australia. 15 clubs over here or 16 clubs. It's an opportunity for them to learn and grow, especially in that halves position. And I think, on the back of obviously Stacey, Benji, Sean Johnson, Kieran Foran, you've got Jahrome Hughes, and then we're looking for that next 7. So, there's opportunities moving forward in the future for sure, but that's pretty much where I guess the depth needs to be. It's going to get challenged next year.
But you know what? Like, we're talking about some pretty good quality players that are the next cabs off the rank outside of Jahrome Hughes, Dylan Brown, Tamari Martin, Kodi Nikorima, awesome players on their day. And if you put Wayde Egan in the mix with Jeremy Marshall-King, and Phoenix Crossland, who did really well in the Pacific Championships after JMK injured his thumb. Like, didn't skip a beat. Yeah, real tough bastard, eh? Really impressed with... I mean, I was impressed with everybody across the board, but the way he slotted in, brought players onto the ball, I thought it was marvellous. So, look, I mean, you're in a great position, you and the Kiwis, aren't you? A year out from this Rugby League World Cup. We just hope that, you know, in 11, 12 months' time, everybody is injury-free, raring to go, and then another Rugby League World Cup win is a very real possibility for New Zealand. Exciting times ahead. Also in 2026, though, Blairy, your Maori All-Stars coming back to New Zealand. It's been confirmed in the last day or two that Hamilton, WAIKATO, will play host to the Indigenous All-Stars and your Maori All-Stars. Only the second time that New Zealand will host. How excited are you to bring the Maori All-Stars back home to Aotearoa?
Yeah, pumped, Goran. You just never know with the game and when it even is going to be on, if it's still going to be on, when the opportunity for us to take our beautiful culture or showcase our beautiful culture on the world stage, So to be able to be given an opportunity to have that game back home in Waikato, in front of home people, a lot of our players that will represent in that space will be from the Waikato area, the Tainui area. So it's a great opportunity for Māori Rugby League and to showcase what we can do back home on home soil, but also to keep connected to the game. We have a lot of Māori tournaments throughout Aotearoa and out New Zealand throughout the year, and Aotearoa Māori Rugby League run a lot of tournaments for our kids, and I guess this is an opportunity to see a pathway. Someone like Keanu Kinney has come through this pathway and now is representing on the big stage, but also has played for the Māori team, the All-Stars team. Xavier Willison's been exactly the same, played through some of those tournaments. Chance Nickel Clocks, the Jazz Te Vanga. Those guys were fortunate enough to play in these tournaments. So to be able to showcase that game in New Zealand and Waikato on that weekend is cool for everyone that's going to be involved. I just hope the country gets behind it. I hope our people get behind it because I know, they'll be turning up in their numbers, especially to that Waikato Stadium. It's not far from Auckland. It's not far from Wellington or the South Island. So everyone, and it's also not far from Whangarei. So all our whānau up in Whangarei too, man, just come on in. It's going to be an outstanding week. I love that time of the month because we get to be who we are and what we represent every day, 24/7 for as long as we're together in that camp.
It's going to be great for Waikato, no doubt about that. But if I was somebody in charge at the NRL and sorting out where the All-Stars game was going to be played, and I'm looking at New Zealand, I'm looking at Whangarei. I'm looking at Seamanoff Stadium, or whatever they're calling it these days. You got Adam Blair, who's a hero of the Far North, as the coach of the Māori All-Stars. You've got James Fisher-Harris, who's always involved, another legend, another icon of the Far North. What have we got to do to get you boys back home playing with the Māori All-Stars where you're from?
You're right, Goran. I think it's a small opportunity missed. But at the same time, I think it's a stepping stone to somewhere where we can get to next. Rotorua first, Hamilton now, maybe in a couple of years' time when this game's continuing to grow. Hopefully I'm still in the hot seat.
Just got to keep winning, mate.
That's and then we can take a game to Whangarei. It's an iconic place. Like you said, myself, Fish, there's been some great people that have come out of Whangarei or the north itself to be able to showcase our hometown, our people, and bring the Māori game to New Zealand, the All-Stars, showcase our Indigenous players in our community. It's a small opportunity that we can hopefully one day be able to do because I know myself and Fish would love to be able to take one back up there and showcase what the game is of rugby league, especially this All-Stars game for sure. Okay,
so we're going to have to campaign. What was our wish list again? We've got a wish list of a 4 nations right?
The Anzac game.
Anzac League Test coming back, and now the third one
Whangarei.
is Whangarei for the All-Stars game. We'll get onto that. We'll make sure the NRL, Abdo, Volandis, they know about our three-pronged wish list. You've got 3 months before kickoff in Waikato. Look, I wouldn't be a good friend if I didn't say you need to get your ducks in a row. You need to make sure you know who you want to select, and make sure you know who you want to select early. And you know where I'm going with this. You need to get on the phone to that guy who coaches the Green Machine, Ricky Stuart, and say, I want Joe Tapane. Who else do you want? Matt Timoko? Yeah.
We'll take Ethan Strange, because I know he wants to link up with his dad and his sister in the All-Star space. So it'd be nice to get Ethan Strange. Kyo Weeks. So to have those 4 boys, that would be a great start. That'd be a great start. So that I need that wish to come true. Hopefully Ricky Stewart's a big supporter, and I know he's a massive supporter of Maori people, Indigenous people, because he did let me know last time that they've got a big history around Pacific people and Maori people at that club. So I know he's a big supporter of this. But please, can you just let those 4 players come? Because I would love for those boys to be involved. Obviously, Joseph Tapane has been one of the OGs in this space, and alongside obviously Fisher Harris and also Britain Nikora, Kodi, my little mate Kodi. Those boys have been the OGs from the start, and I always like having, our leaders around that space, especially proud of who they are, proud of our culture. Not saying no one else's, but I'm just saying those guys front and embody Maori, embody who we are. So Ricky Stuart, if you're listening, I would like to have those 4 boys, Kyo Weeks, Joseph Tapane, Matt Timoko, and Ethan Strange. So we'll take 4 of your best starting players.
Brilliant.
And we'll add them to that wish list for me for February. So, alongside obviously all our other key players. And when you think about it, Goran, I know there's a couple of dual heritage players in that Kiwi team. Would love to nearly take that whole team if I could as well, please. All the clubs that have those players, please let them come.
We can't say we didn't get in early, middle of November, for a game in the middle of February. You've been put on notice, everybody in the NRL. Adam Blair needs his players for the All-Stars game in Waikato, February 15?
February 15th on a Sunday afternoon, bro. It'll be beautiful. Beautiful weather, beautiful country. The people are smiling. They'll be happy. It'll be going off.
And then not long after that, the NRL for 2026 begins in earnest. We've seen the full draw released. Some clubs are happy with what they've received. If you're the Penrith Panthers, people are talking about the dynasty ending. What have you made of what we've seen for the New Zealand Warriors for next season? A couple of things stood out for me right from the get-go. And look, I suppose we always focus on the negative, don't we? Like, oh, geez, what's wrong with that? Unfortunately, I'm going to start with something that I deem to be negative. Such a negative Nelly. But try and follow me if you can, Blairy. Titans, round 7 at home. Dragons, round 20 at home. Go Media Stadium, Mount Smart. Now, in between, there is just one other match at Go Media Stadium, Mount Smart, because they take a game to Wellington. It's the Anzac match against the Dolphins. They take the Cowboys match to Christchurch, which I'm looking forward to seeing one New Zealand stadium for the first time in the NRL. I think that'll be brilliant. And unfortunately, in Magic Round, their home game is against the Broncos in Brisbane. But yeah, for a period of 3 months, I think it's April 18 to July 18, they only play one game at their actual home. And I feel like fans of the team who turn up week in, week out in Auckland, they're going to feel a little bit miffed, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they're asking their members and their fans to travel. That's what they're doing, because you can have all your home games at Go Media Stadium, and sell it out like they have been, or you can try and obviously what they want to do is obviously spread it out over New Zealand and give opportunities for other parts. And I get all that stuff. I get it all. But at the same time, are you going to pack out Westpac? Is it called Westpac?
I think they call it Sky Stadium these days.
Sky Stadium. That's how long I've played it. Since
Call
I've
it the
played
Cake Tin, mate. The Cake Tin.
So the Cake Tin, are they going to sell that out? What's that going to look like? Obviously, I think the Christchurch one will be good because they normally pack that out. But it's the members and the fans that miss out on opportunities in Auckland. And I know there's going to be some bias here from all our Auckland fans, but also the people down south and the people that travel to find, and they're going, well, we get it down here. But they miss out on the experience of what they've been able to create over the last, 2 years through, or 3 years from 2023 into where they are now. And at the same time, when you think about the Warriors, they do a lot of traveling. And you would think that sometimes being at home, playing in front of at your home stadium, Go Media Stadium, that it's an opportunity to not say get a win, but to be comfortable in your own space, to own that area, to try and get some wins at home in front of the fans. So, I get what they're trying to do. I know they're trying to spread the game out around New Zealand because the game is growing. The Warriors are doing a great job at it. The boys and the fans and the kids get to rub shoulders with some of the icons. The game's growing. Rugby league game's growing in New Zealand. And unfortunately, with the way that they've got their draw done, some of the fans and the members miss out up in Auckland. But they're going to just have to travel. And I'm sure when you think about the fans and what they've done over the last few years, over in Australia, they find a way. They just find a way. So I think it's a cool idea. But it's an opportunity that there's people that are going to have to travel down to all these other places.
Before we get to what I'm calling the homeless middle part of the season, the first 6 rounds of the season, I think at the end of those 6 rounds, we will definitely know whether the Warriors are contenders for the top 2, top 4, top 8 or not, because they've got some pretty difficult assignments in that first 6 weeks. Let's run through it. So first game at home against the Roosters, complete with new signings Daly Cherry Evans in the halves and Reece Robson, the New South Wales hooker, playing in the 9. The next week, still back at home, Go Media Stadium Mount Smart, but up against the Raiders, the minor premiers from this season. And we remember what happened with Tamale going up against the East Stand at full time. So there'll be revenge in the air there. A difficult assignment against Dylan Brown's Knights away. In round 3. Tigers are at home. And then in rounds 5 and 6, they've got the Sharks away, followed by the Storm away.
Ooh, that's always a toughie.
Always a toughie. It's like always impossible to win. So
is it a gimme for the Storm?
You can't say it's a gimme for the Storm because every match that passes is a match closer to the Warriors winning. And so if the Warriors have Luke Metcalf and Mitch Barnett and they are genuine contenders for the title,
Definitely.
It could be the year that they finally knock off the Melbourne Storm in Melbourne. But that looks like a pretty difficult assignment to start off your season, does it not, Blairy?
Yeah, and like every season that comes around, you want to hit the ground running. And I guess that was the biggest thing this year for the Warriors is off the back of their big loss in Vegas, they went on a bit of a streak and really built up some wins and got them to the position that they are because they actually were strong after that, besides obviously the Storm hiccup. But anything after that, with Luke Metcalf and all their boys healthy, they really opened up and found themselves in a good position in the middle half of the season. So, like every team, they'll be gunning to start hot and just try and collect all the wins you can early, but up against some quality teams with some new signings, but teams that were in the 8, obviously, besides the Knights. But hey, 2026, you never know what team brings. You get through preseason, you get through your trial matches and hit round 1. That's when the real test starts. So a tough run for the first 6 weeks for the Warriors and a great opportunity to, like you said, to see if they are the real deal in 2026.
This year they had what we both called a relatively soft run into finals. And they were hampered by injuries to key players. No Mitch Barnett, no Luke Metcalf, trying to figure out what they're doing with the halves, etc. And that soft run started to look pretty tough, to be honest. This time around, 2026, they have a very long run-in to a potential finals campaign because their last bye is in round 18. So they play 9 games before week 1 of the NRL finals, should they make it that far. And I think we both feel like they should be making finals next year. So it's a lengthy run-in without a break. The good news is, of the 9 games that they play after that final bye, only the Dogs, Panthers and Broncos are from this year's top 8. Yeah. So 6 games against teams outside of the 8. And yeah, things change. Teams pull in new players. They get stronger. Maybe they get weaker. But on paper, it's both discouraging and encouraging, that run in Blairy.
Yeah, it's always obviously we're talking about 2026 and you don't know what's going to happen.
Nah, of course
who gets through a preseason. But when you talk about it from obviously this year's experience and knowing where those teams finish, we don't know how they're going to perform in 2026. That is a little bit easier for them in that part of the season. So, like I said earlier, Goran, it's you've got to start. They're going to have to start fast, like most teams. And then you might get a couple of hiccups in the middle of the season, but hopefully you've built up enough wins to be able to stay strong in that back end, moving towards that bye, because it is late in the season, that bye, and you go through a period where it's just going to be brutal. It's going to be a lot of travel. You're away from home. You're sleeping out of your own bed. So routine, consistency, recovery is going to mostly be that most important part for the Warriors in that start of that part, or the part of that part of the season, and being able to stay consistent at the same time. So, yeah, it's always going to be interesting. It's still going to be a tough run, no matter who you play against, whether they were outside the top 8 this year. It may change in 2026.
And, of course, every game for your Newcastle Knights looks pretty easy on the back of golden boot in waiting Dylan Brown, his performances for the black jersey, right? Far out, he was good, mate. He was so good.
Mate, if he doesn't get it, it's rigged. It's where we're calling someone the international game and saying, mate, what game are you watching? Yeah. Because, man, he was outstanding. He was outstanding. He was the best player through, on the field for those 3 games, without a doubt. Yeah. There was no doubt. He got, I think he won man of the match in all 3 games. So if anyone else was watching the game, I think they would be all thinking the same thing. Good to see, because it like Goran, everyone knows how Dylan Brown can play. But at the same time, wouldn't you like to be able to play off the back of that forward pack?
100%.
It does. And I'm not saying the game of rugby league is easy. But when you've got an elite forward pack, both starting and coming off the bench, the things Dylan Brown can do was showcased over those 3 test matches in the Pacific Champs. And that's the Dylan Brown we know. Hopefully in 2026 at the Knights, he can show everyone why he deserved to get that golden boot.
Yeah, it was a feat made all the more remarkable given his circumstances at the Eels, right? In the latter stages of the season, Jason Riles goes in a different direction and he's playing Joash Papali in the halves, and I think he played a couple of games at centre as well. And so he was he was out of practice in the 6 jersey, but you would not know it, man. He was phenomenal. He and a bunch of other guys, but we digress. Mate, for 2026, as we sort of draw to a close in our final episode here on League of Our Own, what are some of your wishes for the season ahead?
Oh, sponsors. We need sponsors, mate. I need to get rid of those boxes.
It's not what I meant. It's not.
Oh,
look, you go. If this is a wish and a hope and a dream of yours, I don't want to stop you.
Oh well, we actually need sponsors. It'll be.
He's right. We do.
Are we going down that way, or were you asking about rugby league?
I was asking about rugby league, but yeah, let's do the sponsor call out now.
Well, we'll do the sponsors one, and then I'll talk about our wishes in rugby league. well, obviously we need support and sponsors around what we do, because, man, everyone on our channel, YouTube and Instagram have seen our setups. But like at the same time, Goran, like, although we don't have that much support in what we do in this, but we just make it work. We've been able to create something pretty cool with what we have. And yes, would love obviously some more support and love some sponsors to come on board if anyone's keen on this stuff. But at the same time, man, I'm grateful that we can still obviously catch up and be able to chat and bring this beautiful game rugby league. But my wish would be hopefully we get a big sponsor on board in 2026 and we can create some pretty cool content and also keep delivering the space that we do. And have you got anything there in your hand? Maybe they can come on board.
Maybe these guys can come on board. Alba Original Mexican Tequila Sparkling Margarita. If we could have your help, that'd be fantastic. It's a lovely drop, Blairy. So
is it?
I can't speak highly enough of it. So maybe they could come on board. Who knows?
Yep, maybe the actual real wish list. We obviously go back to rugby league.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
I guess in 2026. Obviously, it's a big year for Kiwi players. It's obviously a really big year for Kiwi players. And with the World Cup coming at the end of the year, I just hope and wish that every single player plays to their best of their abilities and that they're healthy and fit and ready to hit the ground running come, guess, the end of the year. So after grand finals, end of October, I would love that. Obviously, for every fan and every time we jump on here, seeing the Warriors do great. Seeing the Warriors do great in 2026, to always obviously challenge the opposition. I guess when I talk about opposition, rugby union in New Zealand, to grow the game, to showcase some of the talent coming through, to be able to develop some of our next generation of Kiwi Pacific players that are going to be playing in the NRL. We want to see the next best thing coming out behind someone like Leka Halasima and finding someone who's just going to come out of the gate come round one. So alongside, obviously, our sponsors and someone looking after us, the wish list in 2026 for Rugby League is obviously our Kiwi players being fit and healthy for World Cup, and then watching the game of Rugby League grow with the Warriors in New Zealand.
Yeah. I'd like to echo those sentiments, mate. Would love a big time sponsor, and then I won't have to stay up as late on a Tuesday night recording and then editing and shipping out our episode. I might be able to do it the following day and just take a nice casual approach. Wouldn't that be nice? But in terms of rugby league, my wish list is pretty simple. It's that Luke Metcalf stays injury free, because he's had a pretty rotten time of things over the last 3 or 4 years in terms of injuries with broken legs, ACLs, hamstrings and the like. Wouldn't it be nice to see this red hot talent play a full season for the Warriors and then take them really deep into the NRL finals? And who knows, maybe, as he hopes and dreams, wins the Warriors their first NRL title. So Luke Metcalf to be injury free. Additionally to that, I'd like to see Rocco Berry injury-free.
Yeah.
Poor bastard has had a rotten run, probably worse than Luke Metcalf. And we know how talented he is, but we're just not seeing it regularly enough. Would love Rocco to have a really good run in 2026. Personally, I want to see the Warriors and my Parramatta Eels challenging for the NRL title, and who knows, with our boy Jonah Pezzett wearing the 6 alongside Mitch Moses, anything's possible for the blue and gold. So my two favourite teams challenging for the NRL title, and the Kiwis to win a very competitive and extremely exciting Rugby League World Cup. Because we saw with the Pacific Championships, Blairy, how even those teams are. I know that Tonga, they were, obliterated a couple of times, but there were reasons for that. And they'll have players come in and they'll be better for that run. But to think that we'll have the Kiwis at full strength, Samoa back having licked their wounds and getting Stephen Crichton back in the mix as well, Australia, fresh off their Ashes win in the UK. They bring that form in. Brilliant players on show like Reece Walsh, Nathan Cleary. It's going to be an epic tournament. Cannot wait for it. And I really do think that the Kiwis can finish top of the pops there. So that's my brief wish list for the year ahead. But look, in closing, mate, I'd just like to say a massive thanks to Betcha, who did come on board and help us out. Without Carl and Tom from Australia, their support, we probably wouldn't be doing this. So big thanks to Betcha. A huge thanks to everybody who's either listened or watched or interacted with our social posts. Because at the end of the day, me and Blairy, we love talking rugby league and love seeing each other and keeping in touch, even though we're across the ditch from each other. It's all about the interaction with the fans and creating a safe and brilliant place where people can exchange their thoughts and do so without harm and repercussion. So I think it's been cool to see how that's grown in 2026. But lastly, and most importantly, a big thanks to you, Adam, because without you, this doesn't happen. I know you always say thanks to Goran for the heavy lifting, but mate, I could do the heavy lifting on my own, and nobody's going to watch. You're the draw card. I'm not that stupid. So a huge thanks to you for making yourself available. I know that you are so busy, with family and friends and rugby league. You're heavily involved in the Newcastle Knights. You've got the Kiwis to consider. You've got the Maori All-Stars to consider. And once a week, for 30-odd weeks, you've spent time with this absolute dipshit. And I thank you very much for that, mate. And it's just been really cool that even though you've moved to Australia, we've been able to keep in touch and have these rugby league conversations. But also, before we start recording and after we finish recording, just catch up about how things are, general life stuff, life admin, how the family is, and how we're keeping the respective wolves from our doors, if you know what I'm saying. So it's been really cool, man. And thank you. And I look forward to doing it all again in 2026, mate.
Yeah, no, it's always a pleasure, Goran. Love what we do. I love spending, obviously, this time that we have together to talk about our beautiful game of rugby league and echo everything that you said about the people that in the background that have looked after us through this season. Obviously, and also, obviously, Dills sits in the back and pushes our stuff out on a Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. So to take a little bit of the heavy lifting off you, Dills chucks it up on our YouTube channel. So, without all those people supporting us, and obviously the fans, like you said, and engagement and chatting to us, and us chatting back to them, we don't do what we do. But again, like you said, bro, I appreciate our time that we spend together. 36, I think we did episodes for this year, season 2. For me, bigger and better in 26, bigger and better season 3, and the growth in a small amount of time, Goran, that we've been able to have through obviously the commitment of us two, but also our fans' engagement. We've been able to create something special. And 2026, we hit the ground running. Hopefully, like we asked for, a big sponsor comes on board and supports us. And fingers crossed, Goran, the first week of Rugby League is All-Stars. And I jumped straight on there and let's push out our first episode. I think that would be round about maybe February 10. Okay. I don't know if that's a Tuesday. But I'm just guessing, trying to work backwards from a Sunday. So hopefully give us a confirmation. We could be popping out season 3 first episode on February the
11th.
February the 11th.
Yeah. So, you're close, mate.
So fingers crossed, bro, that we can pump out this episode or this new season, February the 11th, 2026, man, and we go again with League of Our Own podcast.
Yeah.
How good?
How good? Very good, mate. Well said. Thanks again. Thanks to everybody for watching, and have yourselves a bloody Merry Christmas when it rocks around, and a safe New Year. And we'll see you on February 11th. Here on League of Our Own podcast. Until then, have a good one.
Yo, bye-bye.